The ongoing drought in South Sudan is more specifically an agricultural one, meaning that there are precipitation shortages and lack of groundwater, which affects the livestock in the country. These kinds of droughts can be found anywhere, but are more prominent in southeastern US, sub-Saharan Africa, oh look at that, and Australia. This, combined with large conflicts, leaves South Sudan and some other countries in Africa with severe famine. All of this happened because of a combination of unfortunate factors happening at once. So let's take this one step at a time and look at each thing individually. It's not like the drought and the famine was an instantaneous catastrophe. This has been about 2 years in the making. In February of 2015, the World Food Programme reported that South Sudan was experiencing a very good start to the agricultural season. This should mean that we shouldn't have that pessimistic opinion that countries like these are so unstable and will soon go hungry, right?
Wrong.
In June of 2015, the prices of food spiked and more houses were predicted to be faced with famine. In January of 2016, the World Health Organization stated that with the drought, that existing conditions may lead to famine. And in March of 2016, the country's army were no longer paid with money, but were paid by letting them reenact the purge and take what they want and do what they want, leading to murder, theft, and even rape. It's not great. Soon later, every developing country's worst enemy,
El Niño.
arrived early 2017.
El Niño.
Is the warm phase of the cycle of warm and cold temperatures in the Pacific Ocean. As a result, developing countries like South Sudan are hit the hardest because they rely on agriculture and fishing, which isn't too plentiful at that time of year. And now we're here, in the present, with the drought in full swing. What are you guys doing to help? It should go without saying that South Sudan is an early-stage country, which doesn't help when it comes to combating the effects of disasters. Citizens make roughly $1 a day, and the country has to rely on aid outside the country, which due to complications that'll come later, isn't very effective. Geographically, South Sudan is at a disadvantage when it comes to the drought. It's surrounded by land and is not quite close to the ocean where they could theoretically get water on their own. Lastly, it's known that the younger demographic pass away much faster than grown adults when it comes to hunger. We can infer from this that the infant mortality rate will spike over the course of this event, as depressing as the thought is. One of the more ironic things about this is that one of the biggest causes of the drought isn't even the fault of South Sudan's. Global warming is causing more frequent droughts, which gives countries less time to recover and profit off the periods in between. The thing is, South Sudan produces one of the lowest amounts of carbon in the world, so who's really contributing to the issue?
Man.
Yeah, the more well-off countries are actually hurting still-growing countries when they produce carbon every day. So really, as countries like the US, Australia, and even Canada have horrendous ecological footprints, the bigger the problem will become. So now you all know how this came to be, but what has this disaster really done to the world? It's just a drought, right? California gets those all the time.
You are dead wrong.
One of the major problems in South Sudan is the conflict between the rebels and the government officials. However, both are acting similarly as of now. The outside aid that citizens of the country need help from are being attacked, raided, and blocked off from help. 7 aid workers have been killed in an attempt to help the public. You know who's not helping right now? Trump. Donald Trump, the United States president, has been quite vocal about cutting foreign aid and assistance to the United Nations. This will most likely add and possibly even multiply to the death toll in South Sudan. Thanks for that. This is certainly not helping, because even before that, the United Nations is still billions of dollars short of truly helping and making large efforts to help South Sudan.
You'll never see it coming.
Economically, the price of food has increased from 4 cents to 42 cents in South Sudan, which may not sound too bad on paper, but as mentioned above, it's definitely a struggle when one person makes $1 a day and has to support a family. Obviously, it isn't sunshine and rainbows for the environment either. The plants and land have dried up, increasing the probability of other hazards such as fires. On top of this, well water has either dried up, turned cloudy, or become colors like slime green. Yet the citizens have no choice but to drink it. They've got nothing else. Lastly, there's no official or clear death toll, but what we know is that 7 aid workers have been killed, the army is killing people and destroying villages based on ethnicity, and 100,000 people are facing death, and millions are on the brink of starvation. While the main problem with South Sudan as of now is the war and the near record-breaking famine, the intense drought is a crucial factor to the current situation in the country. So, yeah.